I've got a pen and I've got a phone, and I can use that pen to sign executive orders.
So President Obama telling his cabinet this morning and the whole world, because the press was there, I don't need a Congress. I don't even need a Constitution. I don't need the law, because I've got a pen and I've got a phone and I can issue executive orders, and I'm not going to sit around. I mean, he said it directly. We are not going to wait around for legislation. We're going to act, even though I have absolutely no constitutional authority to do it. 888-589-8840, the number to call. One more soundbite from Senator Mike Lee, and then we'll take your phone calls. Mike Lee's talking here about the fact that these unconstitutional appointments that President Obama made were challenged in court, and the Supreme Court heard oral arguments yesterday on these recess appointments, and it was very clear from the tenor of the questions that the justices were asking is that they are not sympathetic to the president's point of view on this at all. In fact, I think it's a very, very good chance that they're going to find that these recess appointments were flatly unconstitutional. And here is Mike Lee, third soundbite from Mike Lee.
Unfortunate, first of all, that the president felt that it was okay, that it was acceptable to do this. He, of course, took an oath, not once but twice, to uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. It's unfortunate, secondarily, that there was not more of an outcry from this body. Sure, there were a lot of Republicans who joined me in calling this action lawless, because it was. And it was sad that none of our colleagues from the other side of the aisle, at least not publicly, were willing to acknowledge the lawlessness of this act. Some acknowledged to me in private that it was problematic. Some acknowledged to me that there were some implications behind this that threatened the Senate as an institution. But I think we need to be more open, more faithful, more forceful, and less partisan about the way we defend the Constitution of the United States. Mr. President, to me this would not matter. If this were a Republican president, I would be arguing with equal strength on this issue. And in the future, when we have a Republican president, if any Republican president is lawless enough to try this, I will oppose it with everything in me. Mr. President, we ourselves take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And I think that involves doing more than simply leaving it to the courts to iron out the details.
Okay, Senator Mike Lee, had people telling privately, look, this is lawlessness. But so far, the Senate has not done anything. The House has not filed any sort of articles of impeachment. And Senator Lee is laying out a case here for impeachment. What President Obama is doing is defying the Constitution. It is defying the separation of powers. It is actions he's taking in bold and unapologetic defiance of the plain meaning of the words of the Constitution. So we'll see what happens. Rob, let's grab clip 8 before we go to the phones. This is Eric Holder, and here's an example of that lawlessness at work. The citizens of Utah passed a constitutional amendment that defines marriage as a union of one man and one woman. 66% of the citizens of Utah went to the polls to define marriage, to elevate protection for marriage to the state constitution. The federal Constitution gives absolutely no authority to the central government, including the judiciary, to set domestic policy for the state of Utah. The Supreme Court even acknowledged that in their DOMA ruling this summer, where they said that's an issue for the states to decide. Utah has decided. Well, a federal judge, a hyperactive, tyrannical federal judge, overturned Utah's constitutional ban on same-sex marriage. That's now before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has issued a stay. They said, look, you can't implement that until this case is heard, until it is dealt with by the courts. That did not stop Eric Holder, clip 8, from saying this.
I am confirming today that for purposes of federal law, these marriages will be recognized as lawful and considered eligible for all relevant federal benefits on the same terms as other same-sex marriages. These families should not be asked to endure uncertainty regarding their status as the litigation unfolds.
All right, that's Eric Holder, ignoring the Constitution, ignoring even the ruling of the Supreme Court this past summer, and imposing his view of same-sex marriage on the state of Utah. Well, let's go to the phones. Let's begin with Harold in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Harold, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian.
Hey.
Thanks for taking my call. And Thanks for your show and all the others there at AFR that bring us the true news every day. I'm trying not to let my blood boil from all those sound clips, so I won't get off track here.
That'll get your heart rate up in a hurry, won't it?
I wanted to follow up from earlier when you were talking about welfare reform, and I'll try to make this quick because I know you have other callers. Here locally in the city I live in, we have from a couple of different communities that come together and support this. We have an organization called Masters Market, and we have somebody, it's paid staff member from our church that runs it. A man a few years ago donated the land to the church, and we built the building. So there's no mortgage on it or anything. We get food from donations from like the food bank and big grocery stores. Long story short, we fed, clothed, helped people pay utility bills, sent them for drug, alcohol counseling, a lot of different things. 6,500 people last year. Okay, that's 6,500 people. No state grants, no federal grants, all through the charity of Christians and others that want to help people. My point is, if the government would do what you're talking about and get out of the way, I believe that people would step forward and help those truly in need. Now, yes, we have people that try to scam the system. Everybody that comes in, their stuff is put in a computer. That way, if they come back in 2 weeks and want help with the same utility bill, you know who you've dealt with, you know. But the most important thing is everybody is counseled and given a chance for God's plan of salvation, and that's the most important thing. But my point is, there across the country are probably, I don't know how many countless churches and organizations that help people outside the government, and I believe that they would continue that, and they would probably even step it up if the government would quit giving incentives for people to not help themselves. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your show.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Harold. And what Harold is saying there is exactly right. And welfare programs, the other thing we need to understand is welfare programs are absolutely unconstitutional. There is no warrant at all in the federal Constitution for the government to be involved in welfare programs and involved in the involuntary redistribution of wealth. That authorization is simply not in there. This came up early in the Republic, and James Madison, somebody proposed a bill to provide some kind of relief out of public coffers for refugees from Haiti or some island nation in the Caribbean. And it wasn't a lot of money, $15,000 or $20,000, something like that. But James Madison objected. This is 1794, which shows you how quickly they lost sight of this restraint. This is what James Madison said in arguing against that appropriation. I cannot undertake to lay my finger on that article of the Constitution which granted to Congress of expending on objects of benevolence the money of their constituents. Couldn't lay his finger on it because it does not exist. No authorization for Congress to take the money of its constituents and expend it on objects of benevolence. Let's go to Kurt, Grants Pass, Oregon. Kurt, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Happy New Year, Brian. I was attending a meeting this last week. It's called 912 People. It's a part of a Tea Party group. And Bill, who's the head of the group, came up with a resolution that was adopted by a group of people about the unconstitutional Obamacare Act, now referred to the Affordable Care Act. Mm-hmm. And I will be sending you a copy of this. This is going to Senator Ted Cruz and others. It is unconstitutional. And when President Obama does these executive orders, he has become a dictator. Mm-hmm. And
that's what Senator Lee meant when he said we are not a government of one. That's exactly what he was saying, Kurt. He was saying it in different words, was saying the same thing. This guy has arrogated to himself all political power, and that's not what the United States is about.
Yes. Did not Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts say Obamacare was a tax?
Yeah.
Where do all money revenue things start? It's in the House.
Yeah. So when
and why are we not fighting this?
Well, I don't know. You got to ask guys like Senator Mike Lee. Now, Ted Cruz is fighting it.
I know it.
Now, he's fighting it, but he's got to get some help up there. That's the issue, is getting people that are thinking like Ted Cruz, thinking like Mike Lee, and are willing to put a little skin in the game and actually take some action to stand up to this.
But we're afraid. Our people, the people that attend church, I don't hear them talking about it much.
Well, and that is one thing that would make a difference. If the American people just absolutely insisted that something be done about this, then something would be done. If the American people were just besieging congressional offices with phone calls, you've got to do something about this, then probably something would get done.
May.
All right, Kurt, well, listen, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Let's quickly grab a call from Mia, Duncan, Oklahoma. Mia, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Brian. I had 2 quick points. One, I wanted to ask, you made a statement early on in the program that you thought Obama was being hoodwinked, I guess, by his, give peace a chance with Iran.
Well, it's more that they think that's what's happening. Now, maybe where you're headed is because of President Obama's Islamic sympathies. He's just accommodating this goal that he has to assist the forming of a worldwide caliphate, and I would tend to agree with you.
And secondly, I just wanted to know your opinion of a new movie that's coming out called Top Priority, if you've heard of this.
I have not. So.
Well, you please find out about this because there was a news clip on it. The woman works for the National Security Advisory.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye out for that. Top priority. All right, Mia, thank you for that. And Mia hinting there that President Obama, his sympathies are clearly with the Islamic faith. I think he wants to assist the forming of an Islamic caliphate. So this is intentional on his part. But for Muslims, this concession, this spirit of reconciliation, to them, it's weakness. And from their vantage point, they are playing President Obama for a chump. Focal Point AFR Talk, back after the news.